That joke isn't funny anymore. Available on Amazon and everywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez podcast on the Lions of Liberty podcast network. I am your host, Lou Perez, and I am so happy to be joined by my next guest. It is her second time joining me on my podcast. The first time we talked, I just looked, was like 4 years ago. So I can't believe that I've gone this long without speaking to the great author who has a new book out right now, Amy Alkon. Her book is Going Menopausal.
Menopostal. Going menopostal.
Menopostal? Oh shit! I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm happy.
Let me take that over. The author of Going Menopostal: What You and Your Doctor Need to Know About the Real Science of Menopause and Perimenopause. Amy Alkon. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for having me again. I missed you. 4 years, too long.
I can't believe it's been 4 years. I looked at that episode, and there were books behind me, but the bookshelf was in my apartment in Brooklyn. And you were one of my first shows. You were like number 11.
Cool. What can I say?
You were very cool
at the start of everything with the dinosaurs.
You were there, and I remember one of the things that we talked about that was a lot of fun is that you had recommended that men of a certain age start freezing their sperm. And and my wife is very unhappy with what I've done to the freezer. 4 years worth of it. But hey, I blame it on my friend Amy for doing it.
I take the blame also because I'm really far away. Your wife can't hit me. So
that's true. Are you still out in California?
I am. I'm here in Venice, California, with a heavy population of violent homeless people, but I have a gate. So doing okay. Writing my books, and this is it's actually beautiful here. It's like 55 year round, so we have something over when I used to live in New York, and then got sweaty all summer, which is gross.
Yeah, I just got back from I was at Freedom Fest in Palm Springs, and it was my first time in Palm Springs, and it was about 120 degrees, and I was like, out of all the places you could choose to live in California, why would anybody come here? And apparently it's sort of like it's like the gay retirement community or something like that.
It's fabulous. You just go when it's not so hot, or you just live in air conditioning. This is the air conditioning capital of the universe.
Yeah.
And see, I thought you meant Florida because Carol Markowitz just, she tweeted that it was like 104 tomorrow or something like that. And it's so humid there. Plus they have, I don't want to live any place where they have bugs the size of Mini Coopers. You can be eaten by an alligator in your living room and wander into the living room. It just seems too dangerous. I prefer the meth addicts we have here who will stab you on the street. At least you can see them coming. They're bigger. You can run. So it's safer.
Palm Springs definitely looked safer because I was walking around and there were all of these like 6'5" like gay men in their 50s who are like all just cranked up on hormone treatments and testosterone, just fucking jacked to the gills. And I'm like, I feel safe around these guys for sure. Speaking of, I guess, getting older, your book, Going Menopostal, how did this come about? Why this subject?
Well, actually, I got a hot flash. I'm sitting here in Venice.
Did you just get a hot flash?
No, not now, but I know this could happen. But I'm sitting here in Venice. Now, was perimenopause, which is the transition time to menopause, like 3 to 10 years. And it's not well known, and it should be known, especially for your male audience, because some of us who are women can really have some emotional issues that are hormone driven. We're not crazy and bitchy all of a sudden, but it's basically the effect of our hormones for some of us is like basically the freeway chases we have here in California where they're driving on rims on the highway. This is how you feel like all the time. So what happened? Getting back to my hot flash, temperate office, 55 degrees. I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I am locked in a car trunk in the Everglades. And I'm just, what the hell? And I realize, I think this is a hot flash. So awful, because I've been coached informally over the years by this wonderful, generous epidemiologist and biostatistician, Sandra Greenland, and how to read research. And he sent me all these medical papers and articles about all the fraud and abuse in medicine. And so when I have a problem, I don't just go to my doctor. I go to the research base and I dive in and do all this reading. And I see that the medical evidence and then the practice standards are a Grand Canyon length apart. And so I'm very upset about this. And then I go to my doctor, and basically, I have to have 3 battles with my provider to get evidence-based care, to get the drug that is safe and protective for you in perimenopause, which is progesterone,
Mm.
the FDA form of the hormone that's in your body. So it's the same, but it's FDA approved. So you know that you're getting, not Viagra, you're getting progesterone, not contaminated. And to get the amount I needed and to get it covered. And my provider, Kaiser Permanente, I'm not sure if it's still their formula, they're changing it, but they had the drug on their formulary was not progesterone, healthy progesterone, same as in your body, goes up 10 times the amount in a menstrual period in a pregnancy. So very healthy for you. It's not killing any pregnant women. They have medroxyprogesterone acetate, the synthetic knockoff of progesterone, which binds with the wrong receptor in the breast, the stress hormone glucocorticoid receptor, increases breast cancer risk. It is terrible for you cardiovascularly, and also it is terrible for the brain. And so I wanted the drug that doesn't give you cancer and doesn't
Yeah.
screw up your brain and your cardiovascular system. The drug that actually helps you and helps you sleep, because this is a big problem in perimenopause, horrible insomnia for many women. And so this is medical care today. The doctors don't know what the evidence says. They're treating you according to practice standards. And then all of medicine is like this. The US National Academy of Medicine said that most of our medical care is not based on adequate evidence. Notice they don't say terrific evidence or, rigorous evidence, adequate. It's not based on adequate evidence. And then there are 3 big myths of medicine, which are that doctors read evidence and assess it and then make decisions about your care based on it, that doctors are trained in diagnostic reasoning and that they can properly assess risk. And none of those things are true. And so when you go to the doctor, you're getting care that is not evidence-based. Your doctor has no idea. They mean well. This is the fault of medical institutions and medical education, and your doctor's not a sociopath. This is so horrible, and patients don't know it. And that's the big problem with all of this, that you're basically, it's like walking into an open manhole and nobody says to you, hey, there's a big hole in the sidewalk you're about to step into and, be in traction for the rest of your life. Basically, not all women are symptomatic, but the problem is because doctors don't know, there's been no conversation about this. There's starting to be more and more people actually know the word perimenopause,
Yeah.
and that's new in the past 5 years. But because the medical people that we go to are so completely uninformed, and I mean that completely uninformed. We don't know anything. Women are afraid. They're not diagnosed. They're misdiagnosed. They're given drugs that are not what they need. And so the big secret in medicine, in gynecological medicine, is that most of the doctors, almost all of the doctors that women go to, gynecologists, are unqualified to treat them for menopause and perimenopause. They are baby doctors. They're maternity specialists,
Mhm.
reproductive health specialists, and they have 0 training or education in menopause or perimenopause care, which makes it unethical for them to treat you. It is a violation of medical ethics, but it's just what all the departments do. And so everybody does it. And you can't really, people are people, and they, if someone doesn't want to trash their career, just they get hired and stand up and say, I don't know anything, let me refer you. And there's no one to refer them to because there's no expert. I will say, they'll tell you, some places will tell you they're experts. So the experts they have, not like me, where I did a deep dive for 8 years straight in the research. People go to the Menopause Society, they take a little online course and they take a test. little online course and test. Basically, in California, if you get a ticket, you have to go to traffic school, online traffic school. This is like
Mm.
traffic school for your vagina, and this
Oh,
is not. And so I can see the results of that. So the menopause expert at Kaiser, I had an appointment with her. Actually, yeah, I went tomorrow. Ridiculous. They're denying me care in an unscientific way. Is ludicrous. Anyway, I can see that she really is so uninformed because I know the medical care so well. I know the science so well, the physiology. Spent years, I pasted an endocrinology textbook all over my bedroom and then would switch the pages. This deep dive that you don't get in med school. They maybe cover menopause and perimenopause for, a few pages or, maybe a day, but it's not the same thing as having clinical rotation with a really mean doctor. A mean older doctor is going to kick your ass, and tell you, when you're getting it wrong. And so, while I can spot this stuff, the regular, not normal, but regular patients can't. Here's an example. The head of gynecology at Kaiser, West Los Angeles, big Kaiser, she's one of the people I had an appointment with. This is because my terrific gynecologist is out till August. He's a dude because I'm not, stupid like some people are. Like, I will only have an oncologist who had the same kind of brain tumor I do or nothing. Like people like, oh, I will only have a woman gynecologist. He's great. He listens to me, pays attention to the science, considers it. Really, really appreciate him. And so I'm dealing with all the gyno muppets of,
well, do you know what I heard? So I had
yeah.
a doctor on before, and they said that he was telling me about how there are fewer and fewer men going into gynecology, but one of the things when patients are asked about their doctors, they say that the males are less chatty. And I thought it was like playing like stereotypes, but apparently like a woman when she has what do they call it, a scapula, not a scapula, oh god,
Speculum.
a
Speculum.
speculum inside you. It's like, well, let's shut the fuck up and hurry up. Let's get this over with. Yeah.
My guy's just great. What you want is a doctor who pays attention to who you are and your values.
Mm,
And this is called shared decision making, where the doctor helps give you care where it is aligned with the person you are and your values. And he, for example, I not to tell you too much, but I got it's called a transvaginal ultrasound. And the thing you can see your everything, your bowel. And so he knew to show me. He said, "You want to see your bowel?" And wow, that looks like the 405 freeway. It really moves. It was crazy. So he knows to show me stuff like that and to treat me differently from other patients because I'm a science nerd and everything. Anyway, the thing, he is a really responsive in terms of willing to consider science, even if it's
mm,
not what he's reading and everything. But the head of Kaiser Gynecology, really important lady, we are on the phone because I need more. I need a higher dose of estrogen because my body actually munches up like half of it and throws it away. It doesn't go into my tissues. This is well documented with lab tests and something called pharmacogenetics, where they look at what your genetic makeup is for drug metabolism. And I am a rapid metabolizer, CYP3A4 liver enzyme. I get less than half of the steroid hormones, which is progesterone and estrogen, also testosterone, that I have in my body or take.
mm.
So, actually, it would be that I take. And so, I want to get the dose that I need that would bring me up to even the pharmaceutical minimum for the estrogen patch I have. And they're saying, oh, that's a super physiologic dose. Like I would get double the amount another patient would have. Well, yes, because I get
That's what you
half.
need. That's what you need.
So
Yeah.
double would be sufficient, and it's so incredible. So, but what this doctor, the head of Kaiser Gynecology West LA, tells me is, oh, you're 61. You need to taper estrogen at 60. Well, yes, if it's 2002, that's the Prince song "Party Like It's 1999,"
Yeah.
practice medicine like it's 2002 and 2025. 2002 Women's Health Initiative study came out, distorted announcement claiming that it meant like that it was pertained to healthy women, all women menopause. They studied older women, they gave them estrogen, it was harmful to them, did not reflect how estrogen reacts in a younger woman just at menopause who would take it. And they just this is a horrible, discredited research, discredited by 2004. So it's now 2025. she's telling me to taper estrogen. And in the years subsequent, we've seen that estrogen is actually protective of your heart, your brain, and the strongest evidence is for your bones. And if you're not taking estrogen when you break bones, which is at like age 79, well, then you're not protected. And if you've stopped taking it at 60, what happens is not only do you reverse the bone gains you had, you're not going to have it at 79. You're going to spend all these years without it. So your bones will have all this time to erode. So, this is like asking for bone fracture. And so I know she's wrong. And even if she doesn't read the research, just the practice bulletins of the very late to the party Menopause Society, or it was North American Menopause Society, 2017, their practice bulletin. And then the other in 2022 said, we have no stopping rule anymore. It's based on the individual patient health. Monitor your patient. They can continue, you can continue throughout your lifetime as long as they monitor you and you're healthy. And if you initiate estrogen when you're healthy at menopause, if you don't have heart disease, already in you, a lot of plaque and et cetera, if you're a healthy, just menopausal woman. And so this is the head of Kaiser Gynecology. She's choosing the formulary at Kaiser for menopausal women. This is terrible. This is simply terrible. This is the care all women are getting. And I wrote my book for this reason. It's written in this everyday language. So women can understand this. We women aren't stupid. But if you talk to us in medical ease, we're not going to necessarily understand it unless we're reading medicine, as what we do. And so women just need to be told in normal, smart person terms, here's what happens, here's what the science says, here's what we don't know, about safety or whatever. And then they can make decisions according to their values. And my book doesn't say you must take hormones. It says there are benefits to taking hormones after menopause and in perimenopause to take progesterone only. But you don't have to take them. Here are the risks, here are the benefits, and you choose according to your values. And that's what doctors should be giving you. And because they're completely ignorant of the menopause science and perimenopause science, they misdiagnose you, leave you undiagnosed, or this is so horrible. I have a favorite bus driver now. She drives us to my extreme nerd meetup group. And she was told by her doctor she had horrible hot flashes. She's black. Black women and me, we have the worst hot flashes. And so she was told, oh, you're uncomfortable. You know what? It'll eventually go away, probably in menopause. It doesn't always, that hot flashes. So just tough it out. Really? Wait, she goes to her doctor. She's uncomfortable. She's told, tough it out. And what the doctor doesn't know, that I know, is that hot flashes are not just uncomfortable, they're harmful because stress hormones, a burst of stress hormones is released with every hot flash. And this is not a healthy situation. They go away, but then they come back. You don't want stress hormones jumping up in you like, toaster popping up toast. They're not okay.
Yeah,
not healthy.
I know from my mom, and being an older woman, just every now and then she would just be like, just like shake out as if someone just, electric shocked her.
Yes, exactly.
When it comes to, when you're describing, your experience with your doctor who you really like and then sort of like the system, it's sort of like two things I think are at play. One is you have to be your own advocate when you're as a patient, like view yourself not only as a patient, but also, in a way, a customer. And you're like, no, I want the best service that I could possibly get, which involves you doing, the research. And then also having an understanding that, there isn't this one size fits all. And I've been experiencing that when it comes to, changing like health and diet and exercise and all that, where even when it comes to sort of, I would call it kind of like alternative lifestyles or methods, or, whether it's the, ketogenic diet or carnivore diet or, a vegan diet and all that. What I often find is that a lot of people kind of talk about it as if, okay, all you got to do is do this and then you're going to be good. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. According to my blood work, I'm dealing with all this other shit that that you might not be dealing with. So I've sort of gotten to the point where, I'll hear people out when they have recommendations on like health. But then I'll ask them like, okay, well, what's your lipoprotein A? What is your
Mine's 10. They think I'm gonna die of heart disease at Kaiser. Mine is 10. So healthy
10?
is under 50. Yeah, so mine's 10.
That's amazing.
I'm as
That's
likely to die of a heart attack as I am to be kicked in the knee by a unicorn.
yeah.
And two
So
reasons why it's low. I eat a carnivore diet. By the way,
mm,
well, I'll just tell you, I eat a carnivore diet, and then also I take estrogen, and both of these things lower LPA, which is genetic. You can
mhm,
basically get it tested, once. But here's the thing: what I'm hearing from you, people say, "Oh, do your own research." You know what? You really can't.
mm,
Because I've been coached since 2007 informally by this guy, Sander Greenland, just the most generous guy, epidemiologist, biostatistician behind reforming statistical significance and methodology in science. He co-authored the seminal book in his field. So he's really, excellent at all the stuff I need to be excellent at. And so I learned to that research through him. And then I also, he sent me all these articles about medical fraud and abuse, pointless care. Now, here's the thing. So I look at a study, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Like you forgot a control group people? And
mhm.
I know the physiology. I know so much just by studying because this is all I did, 8 years. I didn't go anywhere. Thanksgiving, Christmas, like seriously, because this book, I wanted to put in every ounce of time I could to make it as strong scientifically and checked out as scientifically as I could. What I do is I reverse engineer from the reactions we want in our cells. So I figured out the most powerful and efficient ways to eat and exercise. And so there are differences, like if people have, if someone has some disease or something, but basically the healthiest way to eat is to eat a low carbohydrate, well formulated low carbohydrate diet with sufficient protein, sufficient fat, and to then exercise doing slow speed weight training with weights heavy for you till muscle failure. And I put this in the book. And so this is for men, for women. And when you do this, look at the bioengineering, not the studies like, oh, we fed these people the Mediterranean diet, quote unquote, which isn't, by the way, even the Mediterranean diet, it's not accurate to what they eat in the Mediterranean. Zoe Harcum figured this out. Um, and then we said, and we asked them, the nutrition research is crap. They ask people, what'd you eat?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the huge thing. I've been tracking what I've been eating on an app, every single thing, for going on over maybe I'm getting close to 2 years of doing it. Where like I weigh my shit, like it was kind of a funny thing. I was on the road with Scott Thompson from the Kids in the Hall, and we were bunking together in the hotel, and there I am like taking out my scale
You
and
psycho. You're a
and
psycho.
and weighing like I had a free the one hotel we were in. It was free breakfast, and they had these uh egg white omelets, and I went down and I got like four of them, and they tasted so good that I'm like, these can't just be egg whites. There's got to be cheese in here. And then I got up to my room and I weighed it out, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call them. So I called I called the front desk and I was like, is there cheese in these egg white omelets? And they're like, no, there isn't. But, like, right now, if you go to my app and you scroll back, that's in there. So I know
Missing
exactly
the healthy part of the egg. The yolk
well
is the
well
healthy part of the egg.
well, it depends on what I wanna I mean, I can get 1 or 2 yolks a day and still get healthy. I don't need 7 yolks for it to be healthy.
Um, here's the thing, that if, the way I eat, I'm a hedonistic pig. I'm a grease-licking hedonistic pig.
Mhm.
The way I eat, because I eat a carnivore diet and I take some supplements to fill in for manganese and a few things you don't get. I have never been healthier, in terms of the way I feel,
I know you've been doing it for a
yeah.
while. Yeah. Even
Well,
the
no,
last time we talked, right?
I was eating low carb, and
Okay.
then last February, I started I was just gonna do it for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I won't get into why, but it's not important. I felt so good from this, and then also I've cut all inflammatory. Hopefully, I'm not frozen like I look on mine. I look like I was doing like, having an orgasm.
Yeah, it looked like you were orgasming,
Yeah,
actually. It was
like, I'll have what she's
yeah.
having. Um, you
After
know
you talked about being a grease-eating pig, then
yeah,
you
right.
just had the O face.
Yeah. Now I'm also frozen. Okay. I don't know why. Spectrum, rectum, I hate you. I'm on Ethernet too. Anyway, so what was I saying? I cut inflammatory foods because I had to have
Yeah.
an corneal endothelium transplant. The parts
What's
of me
that?
that I can control are healthy. Thanks, mom, for the genetic disease called Am I allowed to say bad words on here?
Yeah, of course.
It's called Fuchs dystrophy. I'm like, fuck you, dystrophy. Fuck, fuck, fuck. I hate you. Fuck you. Because my eye, it's this one cell layer. It's in your arteries also. We have an endothelium in our arteries and then in our eye. In the eye, one cell layer is the plumber of the eye. When you have fluid buildup, it releases it. Well, in mine, the little cells just were dying off. They look like hammered copper, which is supposed to be comforting, I guess, but it's not. Like, really, and so you have to get this replaced. It's a miracle. This is why I'm an organ donor. I got donor tissue, somebody else's one cell layer, like a little bit in my eye, transplanted into my eye. And so when you need to heal from something like that, you want to really have, no unhealthy inflammation. So I cut out bacon, which is a terrible thing to have to do. I'm a Jew. I was deprived of bacon my whole life as a child through, living with my parents. And
There's something pastrami just doesn't take the place of real
Oh, well,
bacon.
we didn't have that because my mother's such a horrible cook. We ate like particle board. She was an early adopter of health food. But so this is a joy. Wake up to 3 strips of greasy bacon. And I stopped because I needed to go SWAT team on inflammation. And so that's basically what I did. But the doctor, every area of medicine is, like I said, it's unscientific. So this doctor, she's an elite surgeon. I'm very grateful to have her. But she has no idea about steroids. This is a whole other area, very complex area. Now, I know about steroids because I read cognitive neuroscience for a year for my last book. Michael Gazzaniga's Behind That Curtain is his cognitive neuroscience textbook. Excellent. Studied it every day. And so I know all about it's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Cortisol, the cortisol is potentiated that way. You need cortisol, healthy cortisol, to rise. And I know all about steroid hormones. And basically, so in this field, they give 4 drops of prednisolone acetate steroid because you want to retain your transplant. Now, the thing is, this transplant there are no veins. So it's very, very low rejection rate, 0.7%, probably metabolically unhealthy people. So I'm not one of those. I'm metabolically very healthy. Standard in the field, 4 drops. She gives me 8. She thinks that 4 drops is good. 8's better. This is insane thinking. Like, it's not scientific in any way. It's terrible. And so what happened is I had, is basically she suppressed any sort of healing I could do. And then I had a horrible reaction from my, the suppression. And basically I have tachycardia every day now. I'm still healing from all the horrible effects of this. I got really sick. My heart rate, I'll be sitting on the couch, 177, woo! And I had bradycardia too. Yeah, which is extremely low, dangerously low, like 45. I fainted on my bathroom floor. I mean, I'm a really healthy person. You can see my arms, like I work out, it's just
jacked.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like Barbie-sized weights, so you just have to do slow speed weight.
You got like when Madonna first started Kabbalah, like she was like jacked, like
Wait, Kabbalah did that? I don't think Kabbalah does that.
I think so. I think the book was very heavy that she was.
Right. Well, no, the Talmud's like a whole bunch of books. They talk about it. The haters on Twitter, like it's like like a Dell paperback.
Yeah,
it's
not
shelves. It's shelves and shelves. And by the way, I want to get in because there was so much misinformation about this. As long as I'm here, the Talmud. Okay, it's like the minutes of a city council meeting. Like a crazy cuckoo guy comes in and is like, the satanic goat, and like they write it down. It's not like this is like, okay, this is what we do. It's crazy cuckoo pants stuff. And then they find some things in there that aren't nuts, but it's not prescriptive. Anyway, out of the Talmud.
You were going to upset so many of my fans who
I know, right?
Who,
yeah.
Once they know you're on here, they were going to throw so many Talmudic verses at us. They're going to be like, no, the reason why her eyes all fucked up is because of this Talmudic verse, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it were magic, and so this is the stuff that goes on. So I had to do, what happened was, I'm lucky in that I could identify, number one, that I was sick, why I was sick. My transplant wasn't holding on the bottom. This is crazy. I have like these metabolic health stats that are like out of this world. I'm outrageously metabolically healthy. CRP, C-reactive protein, which is a sign of inflammation in your body. I think normal is are really good is 1. Mine's 0.3. Everything. The healthy ratio of triglycerides to HDL is 4. Mine's 0.4. Mine's 0.4. So everything's like
0.4?
Yeah, everything's like outrageously fantastic. And the best is this is medicine. My former primary care doctor, who is not well informed about medicine at all, science at all. He diagnosed me with familial hypercholesterolemia. Now, this is number one, it's a genetic mutation. He doesn't know my genetics. I'm very guarded about my privacy, my medical privacy. I wouldn't give them. I've had pharmacogenetics done, the genetic testing where you see how drugs react, but through a private company.
You should start an OnlyFans where you reveal your genetics to paying
So
customers.
exciting. Wow, look at her hot CYP3A5 enzyme. Oh, that's
Oh,
yeah.
send me a pair. Send me
Yeah,
a
right.
pair of those.
So I don't have the genetic. It's something nice, something nice. I don't have that, number one. My family doesn't die of heart disease. In fact, the opposite. My grandpa died at 98. He was like climbing his apple tree. Nobody has heart disease in my family. Nobody. And then if you
Mm.
have this thing, you have something called xanthomas. I don't know if you can see my hands, but you would have these yellow fatty deposits on your fingers, and you would have a corneal arcus, which is yellow corneal ring. You would have all these things, and so I have high HDL, but why? I only have it since I started eating low carb and then carnivore because this happens to some of us. I'm what's called a lean mass hyper-responder. So I'm eating a lot of saturated fat and I clear a lot of saturated fat. And you talked about LPA. I
Well,
have what's called pattern A LDL because since they are very ignorant about heart disease seems to be caused by high blood sugar, insulin resistance, and possibly bacteria. They're looking at this. That's possibly it's not. There's not a lot of evidence that direction, but it is not caused by cholesterol. It's not caused by eating steak. The American College of Cardiology in 2020 finally came out and said, "Oopsie, sorry, we were wrong. You know how we said to like not eat steak and eat this disgusting food?" They didn't quite put it that way, but they said it is saturated fat. The evidence isn't there to say it isn't. You shouldn't eat it. You can eat saturated fat and chocolate, meat, and all these things that they were banning. And cholesterol is very necessary. That's why I was concerned. It's like, wait, you're not eating the cholesterol that our bodies need in every single cell. There's a
well, I
risk
am.
of having low cholesterol. No, well, I mean, I don't want to,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
know,
no. Well, the thing with me is like I do have. So it's like what you're describing, like with your kind of genetic makeup. On my end, I do have heart disease in my family. So I do like my dad had a heart attack at 65, and that was
sorry.
yeah. Oh no, he's okay. No, no, he's fine. But he was one of those guys who for like say 10 years leading up to the heart attack, like he had stopped, smoking and he exercised and he lost a lot of weight and he was so surprised. He was like, "How the hell can this happen? I've turned my life around." Um,
I bet he ate carbohydrates, not blaming
oh,
him.
well, he was a butcher. So I mean, for his whole life, he ate everything,
Right, but
So
so
it was built. But the reality is, it's 65 years of building up, and then us having our genetics, our lipoprotein. It's like, yeah, man, that's what we got. I wish I had 10. If I
right,
had 10, I'd be throwing,
okay,
so much
but
shit.
see, the thing is, things matter within context, like your whole do you have, see, if you eat here's the thing, eating a low carbohydrate, high fat diet, tends to make in most people, makes your triglycerides go low and your HDL go high. So my triglycerides are 30 eating this way. That's very low. Excuse me, I have to take a sip.
Mhm.
My HDL is actually it's probably low. It probably got measured. It's probably unnaturally low because of the what happened with my eye because I got it tested in the middle of all this stuff going wrong. But it's 79. It's usually like 102. So
Yeah,
30, yeah.
I have my numbers somewhere, but
So if you ate a diet, the problem is that it's blood sugar and insulin resistance. Those seem to be the evidence really supports those as the causes of heart disease. Possibly bacteria
wait,
is
what was your HDL? Did you say?
79, but it's usually like 102.
Yeah,
And then
the last time I got tested. So yeah, just like a quick thing. So I got tested the day after my 43rd birthday this year, and I was higher on a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh, let me change up my diet for a month. And I was able to, I mean, just in a few weeks of just changing my diet a little bit, I went from my HDL of 54 to 49, which was like a big big change. And my LDL was
Wait, it went from
158.
wait. You said it went from 54 to 49. That's your HDL?
HDL, yeah. And
Wait, it
then
went
my
from
LD
54 to 49. So it's
to
lower.
40. Yeah,
High HDL is healthier. So you want it to go up,
I
not
want it
down.
to go up. Okay, we'll see what happens. I think I have another test
What are your
coming up, but
triglycerides?
triglycerides, it went from 84 to 57.
But that's good. That's
Yeah,
the lowered. Okay. So the thing is, you want to have low triglycerides. That is the big
low
indicator.
triglyceride. Yeah.
The big indicator, you want your HDL higher. And so what I would ask you to do, if you're willing to do it, is to do a month of a well-formulated low carb or carnivore diet. Probably be best to go low carb. Maybe you couldn't do carnivore just off the bat, but to do this and be disciplined about it. Don't cheat. I would help you with it, and then see what happens to your labs, because I
Yes.
would.
Yeah, I have my labs coming up in July. So in a couple of weeks, because I'm doing this thing. It's called I'm not going to say what it's called because they're not they don't sponsor me. But I'm doing this thing where it's like it's like every 3 or 4 months we do new blood work and all that. So it's fun. I mean, it's exciting to see like what's going on. Like I get like my testosterone and stuff. I'd never gotten like testosterone tested. Um,
You get free and total.
I am 837.
No, but did you get free and total testosterone tested?
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. I think I have all
Okay,
that
that's good.
stuff.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, so much of our medical care is just, ignorant. If, for example, if you get APOB tested, they should
Mm,
also test APOA1, because what matters is not your straight APOB number, but the ratio.
mm,
And for example, with my numbers, because doctors are ignorant and they think, not all, I mean, but like for the most part, they don't understand high cholesterol in a woman over 50 is protective. That
mm,
my HDL and triglycerides just tell you I'm like out of this world healthy. They think that because my LDL is high, which I can tell them, here's why it is, because I'm clearing all of this, because I'm eating all of this fat, why I'm not at risk. So I got this very expensive thing called the particle test, which I did not need. And
ooh,
LDL particle size is what matters. LDL straight number, this is the ignorance in medicine. People, oh my God, your LDL is this number. Well, first of all, it doesn't matter what the number is. It matters what kind of LDL do you have? Is it oxidized? Is it rusted? Is
mm,
it unhealthy LDL? Is it small size particles, small dense particles that can slip into lesions in your arteries and lead to plaque buildup and then lead to clots when the unstable plaque breaks away? Or, is it large and fluffy LDL like mine, which is pattern A? And so I had them test that, because since they're, think nuts and think I'm going to die, I thought I'll have this as ammunition. I'm not for, unnecessary testing, because
right.
I go to an HMO and I want other people to be able to afford care, not just like, spend, spend, spend. But so I also knew to ask them for an HGLP test, an HDL particle size test. So I think healthy HDLP is like 6,000, and HDL is the janitor. So that's picking up all those little, like my little LDL particles, or actually my fluffy cotton ball like particles bouncing around in a healthy way. That clears all those particles. So healthy is 6,000, I think. Mine's 12,000. So,
Oh, look at you.
everything's like that, but it's because, oops, I'm losing my earphone here. It's because my stats, I can tell you, like I see, it's from eating this low carb diet. Like everything
Mhm.
changed with that. I used to eat carbs. I'm really a pig. Brownies, you put brownies in front of me. I can't have them in the house. Oh, and I go to parties. So since I eat this way, I'm very disciplined. I, eat at home. I don't eat many foods, because I'm basically like poor from the book. So I eat hamburger. It's like the next best thing to dog food. But I'll go to a party, and if they have chocolate chip cookies, first I'll analyze, were they made by someone vegan with that gross crap that doesn't taste, like, or were they made with like butter? Sorry, any vegans out there, but they're like nasty cookies. Um, or butter and eggs and all the good things, chocolate chips, like real chocolate, not carob or something gross. And so then I'll figure out which is the greatest chocolate chip cookie on the plate, and then I'll eat it, and I'll eat two more because I'm a pig. And then I don't have it at home. So, I'm not, I have to do that to not be ascetic and not be, feel like I'm deprived. But basically, the way I see it, and my friend Gary Taubes, who's wonderful in this low carb area, Good Calories, Bad Calories is his big first book. He and I both see this as I'm not depriving myself. I'm avoiding foods that will cause me harm and suffering. I'm a really
Hmm.
weenie, so I can't, be some person who's like, in pain later in life. And plus, heart disease. 1 in 3 women will die of heart disease very soon. Right now, it's 1 in 5. More men die. Women catch up in menopause because we don't have estrogen anymore. So I take estrogen, so I'm protected in a way many women aren't. And this is part of the problem with all the science where it's unscientific. We had the head of Kaiser
Oh
Gynecology
yeah.
West LA telling me to taper off estrogen. So wait, that means my estrogen receptors in my endothelium, my lining of my arteries, all go away. I don't have protection anymore that I had from estrogen. I've lost all of that. And then if you don't take estrogen before, within a certain window, it's thought to be between by 60, but it's individual. You need to initiate it right at menopause as a healthy woman, and then not initiate it like when you're 65. It either doesn't help or it harms you. And so I'm protected, and she's telling me to remove that protection. So my doctor's going to kill me or make me really unhealthy. And this is the problem with medicine now. It's really terrible.
What are what are some of the things in addition to the hormone that progesterone that women can do? Because like it was so silly. It was like a few weeks back how there was this article about the dangers of protein, or like protein is MAGA, is
This
MAGA. And I was talking to my wife is she teaches Pilates and yoga, and she's like, God damn it, she's like, it's taken so long to get women to lift weights and to start eating protein, like real high amounts of protein. And now it's like, what the hell are they trying to, what are they doing? Demonizing it,
this is the read the science yourself, whatever it is, like do your own research. You can't do it responsibly unless you learn, it was very painful. Sandra kicked my ass. I sent him my column every week. He'd see like one bit of reasoning, like I'd be, slapped around. This is good. I wanted that, but
Mhm.
if you haven't had that, and then, between that, I was desperate to learn on my own, statistics and everything. And I learned and learned and learned. If you're not doing that, you just read some kind of thing. You don't have any idea of how to analyze it, critically evaluate it. And the protein thing is particularly bad. You need at least 1.2 grams of protein
Yeah.
per kilogram of body weight, ideally more. And the way I eat, I've engineered my diet to be very protein rich and fat rich. And for
Yeah.
your wife, so she's in perimenopause. What she needs to do, in my book, there's quantitative basal temperature testing. You can do this with a digital thermometer. This is based on the research of this guy, Rudy Vollman, in the 70s, and then Geraldine Pryor, the endocrinologist whose work much of the first half of the book is based on. She's the scientist on perimenopause and progesterone, who's excellent. And so she and her colleagues came up with this test based on Vollman's research. Basically, it's about temperature rising. You want to see when a woman ovulates, if she's ovulated. We have menstrual cycles, they seem normal and like every other one, but we might not have that rupture of the egg sac and the egg release. And if we don't, that's when you get symptomatic, because what happens is if the egg sac ruptures, you ovulate, then progesterone is made out of the litter of the egg sac. There's this stuff called the corpus luteum, this yellow waxy stuff. And progesterone is made out of that ruptured egg sac. No rupture, no progesterone, and you are rims on the highway. I mean, it's terrible. Not all women are symptomatic, but basically you need to figure out through this temperature taking, do it for a couple months. Are you ovulating? Are you making progesterone? Are you making enough to have enough days of progesterone to help your mental health, to allow you to sleep, to not have hot flashes? Progesterone, I took it it really ameliorates the hot flashes. It allowed me to sleep. I was having terrible insomnia after being this sort of person. I go to sleep at 11. It was like someone hit me with a large frying pan. And then if you didn't launch a nuclear warhead into my front yard, my dog didn't bark as it landed, I'd be asleep till 6. Nothing woke me. I was like the dead,
Mhm.
and then perimenopause 5, 6 times a night. And it starts to be like voodoo. Like, what can I do? If I use this magical position, will I sleep? Can I sleep? Like, what will can I take this? Like, let me take more magnesium glycinate. nothing worked. Then progesterone, that was the thing that helped me. And you need to take FDA approved progesterone, not use these creams. Women, because there's so little science out there that doctors don't know, women are afraid and they talk to each other and they use progesterone cream they got off Amazon or something. It's so terrible because it does not protect your uterine lining called the endometrium, and does not protect your breasts the way progesterone does if you take oral micronized progesterone, 300 milligrams, which is what I take. That's not what they give in America. They give 100 or 200 for no scientific reason. They didn't go, let's test it against 300 and see if this is better. 300 they give in France since 1980. Nobody's dying. It's actually very, very healthy. It's has fewer adverse effects than aspirin. And I'm just so grateful. I read Dr. Pryor's research and was able to know that this was what you do in perimenopause and that you don't take estrogen. Now, some women late in perimenopause probably can, but what doctors don't know is that perimenopause is not what they think it is, which is they think it's menopause light, that your estrogen is just like sand in an hourglass petering out. And instead, it's actually spiking and diving. This is why we have the hot flashes with the stress hormone release. It's like with drug withdrawal, that your body's used to a certain amount of estrogen and then it spikes and then it tanks. And so you get sick from this. I mean, it's terrible. And so what you don't want to do is give yourself more of the thing that is already giving you a hard time. It's overdosing on estrogen when they prescribe estrogen in perimenopause. And they will ask you, they'll say, oh, why aren't you taking estrogen? Well, because I read the science, you don't.
Mm.
It's and you can't talk like that to a doctor. I didn't. With my doctor has been great. He and the then head of Kaiser Gynecology, they actually treated me with a lot of respect. I had 3 big battles, and they gave me the progesterone I needed after I presented all these scientific studies to show that it was safe. The amount I wanted was, is scientifically called for and everything. And then this again is why I wrote the book, because that's in ordinary language in the book where you can show your doctor. And that quantitative basal temperature taking, that's really vital because in perimenopause, you can say, oh, I want to take progesterone. And here are 3 screenshots of Amy's book that show, why the science says this is valid. And they can just say no. They're gatekeepers and they practice defensive medicine, which is medicine where because they're ignorant about something, they prioritize their need to not be sued over your need to get adequate medical care that they are not able to deliver because they don't read the science and the practice standards are not evidence-based. So this is a huge problem. And this is, with the QBT, the quantitative basal temperature, you can go to your doctor. You've got legitimate medical data from your body. This is legitimate medical data that you've collected. You do it for a month, every day, your temperature. And then you can show them with I explain how, what the temperature says and for how many days. Show your doctor, look, I'm not making sufficient progesterone because I'm not ovulating. I would like a prescription for this, for the 300 milligrams. This is what you need to protect your endometrium, and that this is a fail-safe. What can they say to you? By the way, the sleep thing is a clue. I'm not sleeping. What they're going to say, we're not going to let you sleep. This is number one torture, and you die if you don't sleep. It's very unhealthy. You have brain fog during the day. You have neural trash building up because your brain never shrinks enough in your head at night when you don't get deep sleep for the neural trash to wash out through the lymphatic system that Megan Nerigard, this incredible neuroscientist, discovered. So, you need to not only bring the science to your doctor, but this fail safe. So you say, well, here are the data. And so you're not going to deny me relief, are you? And then also the third part of that is talking to your doctor in a way that leads them not to be antagonized and feel demeaned, but to partner with you to give you the evidence-based care that you need for your health.
Yeah. Do you foresee a future where like menopause is completely like reversed or eliminated? Because I mean, when it comes to like guys, I mean, guys, I guess we're kind of in a luckier spot where, like me, I'm losing my hair, but I could always go to Turkey. I can always get that. I could go there, and then I could totally see myself like if I'm in my 50s or 60s, just being hopped up on gonad juice and just being a fucking animal, and kind of like that'll be my midlife. Well, maybe am I having a midlife crisis now? No, probably I'm gonna have a later midlife crisis where I'm just like a jacked like swamp thing looking monster. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's something where, I mean, at me as a guy, like I don't, the first time I heard about perimenopause is because my wife brought it up, and she has friends of hers who, also going through it. It's something where, I think it's probably important that not only obviously for women to know about it, but also guys to know about it too, and be like,
Yeah.
okay, how can we work together and, hopefully, make
This
this thing better.
Yeah, this is very important. By the way, those women should buy my book. It's like $9.99 and Kindle like $20 for the paperback. Really nice
Mhm.
here. I'll see if I can hold it up. Yeah. So hopefully I'm not too frozen. I don't know.
I'm gonna recommend it as a book club thing.
Thank
I think
you.
it'll
I
be
have
good.
the really classy
I like
page.
that fan too on the,
Yeah, thank you. I designed the cover.
little
Um,
Half-Life. Yeah.
wait, is it it's sort of blurry. Okay. I think I'm frozen. Yeah, there it
There we
is.
go.
Yeah, so they should read this because, the problem is, they're books by doctors, and I can see the stuff in them that's wrong.
Mhm.
I don't have a horse in the race other than, oh my God, I have to tell women what the science says in understandable language. I had to find it out for myself. And this is being scientific. So the Women's Health Initiative study that said estrogen will cut off your head and cut off your boobs, you'll die of cancer and everything else and have Alzheimer's, by the time you're like 30. I mean, crazy. Of course, you're not taking it for menopause at 30, but I heard that in passing because I wasn't near menopause. So I just thought like, well, okay, I don't know what that is, but estrogen's Satan. I'm never taking it. So that's not scientific. That's idiotic. So I'm writing a book on menopause. Well, I have to read the research on estrogen, and I do, and I think, oh my God, not only is it healthy, it's protective of your health throughout your lifespan. And you must take estrogen. You must initiate it as soon as possible after menopause because we need that critical window where we take it where we're still healthy and it will protect us as opposed to taking it like at 60 or 65. And then I write in the book about individual differences. So you have to see if you're healthy. It's not that you can't take it. There's a magic bell that goes off at 60, but there are considerations about whether or not you're healthy enough and it will help you and protect you. And so, this is the kind of stuff where women are just left, to like, should I trust my doctor? And what happens is doctors, because they're ignorant, they make the symptoms as disorders error, which is Randy Nesse, who's the
Mm.
co-founder of evolutionary medicine, psychiatrist. He came up with this. And what that is where doctors hear your symptom and they treat the symptom. So say that you go into the emergency room, you have terrible headaches. Maybe you're just really stressed out and you need to fix some things in your life, or maybe you have a brain tumor. Now, if we give you stuff to quash your headache without figuring out what the underlying condition is, that's kind of an important signal, those headaches, like, yo, glioma, like, and you're suppressing the signals that something is wrong, and you're prohibiting yourself from being treated. And this is what goes on when they give antidepressants to lower hot flashes. Primary care doctors.
Really?
No
Really?
primary care doctor should be treating menopause and perimenopause. They're not qualified. It is a violation of medical ethics, same as it is for every gynecologist who is not trained to treat perimenopausal and menopausal women. When a doctor does not have expertise, they need to refer you to someone who does. And is it the women's problem that they don't have anyone on staff who is? Well, then refer them out of network or whatever.
Yeah.
And the problem is, though, the realistic thing is I have yet to see there's one doctor in the entire United States that I know is evidence-based. He's in New York, and I really like him. And the way I know this, I don't know if I should mention his name. His name is, I'll tell you, John Pachiak. And the reason I know he's evidence-based is because I read a chapter of some obscure book on the uterus, and I'm reading about his chapter on menopause and perimenopause. Oh my God, the guy's like, he's like me as like an older, man who's a gynecologist in New York. Everything, transdisciplinary. He knows every area. It's all good science. The only way we differ.
He's the uterus whisperer.
Well, no, it was all. So this is a chapter. It was a chapter. It was a book on the uterus, but he was dealing with all of perimenopause. I think it was the uterus and menopause in ways like he covered all the areas, and he was everything was evidence based. And I don't see that. I'll see, some famous doctor's menopause book or something, and they'll be saying something on it. I know what the science actually said because I read so deeply. They don't have time. If you're sitting here for 8 years, I'm in my little office, my little dog, at
Mhm.
home, and they're treating patients. Kaiser, they treat patients every 20 minutes. They have medical record keeping requirements. My doctor is such a good man. He's a good guy. If you want a baby, I actually recommend everyone to him. Like, if you're going to have a baby, have it with him because he really listens. He really, really cares. But it's not his fault that he's not, becoming like and cloning himself and reading the research in between delivering babies.
Yeah.
This is
What he
crazy.
needs what he needs to do is to get into like the IVF business and then slip in a little bit of his own here and there, and then we could have some more of them.
See, no, he's a Kaiser. This is the thing. People say, like, oh, doctors are in it for the money. I go to Kaiser. He's not getting a Ferrari for treating me. Like, despite the science issues and the current crop of, I've been refused the treatment I need, the increased dose by 10 gynecologists. They all are afraid to prescribe estrogen for me because of this whole idea that it's a super physiologic dose. I mean, this is idiocy. Do the math. Okay, so I get half the dose, and you see that, and you see my lab test showing that my baseline estrogen, which you don't get tested in perimenopause because it's pulsatile, it's going up and down. But in menopause, to get a baseline, you know, it's half the pharmaceutical minimum I should be getting, not at the pharmaceutical minimum. And this is like the day after I put on the patch. This is a patch, it delivers a stable dose. And so the day after I should get, some elevated number. And I only got it tested the day after because I was going somewhere and thought like, oh God, I got to get the test before they expire. And so I did. And I mean, that's shockingly bad. And I have hot flashes that are untreated because of these doctors. This is a betrayal. It's malpractice, all of them. And so then they passed it on to some doctor in San Juan Capistrano. And then she has to have her boss and her boss. And so if they're going to deny this to me, I want to meet with the two of them. Then I have to complain to the state. I mean, this is so terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all relatively, if you're listening to your podcast, you're relatively intelligent. You have an IQ over the school speed limit, And so you see, oh, Amy Alkon's only getting half. We see that in the lab test. The pharmaceutical minimum is 71. She has 45 the day after applying the patch. It should be 71 like at the end of the week, as the lowest. And 147 is the pharmaceutical maximum for the Climera patch that I use. I mean, really, how is this hard? And
Well,
here's documentation of this and that, and the other thing. And I take modafinil, which lowers the active estradiol further that's an airline pilot thing to keep airline pilots awake for my obvious ADHD. It lowers active estradiol by 11 to 18%, in addition to my high sex hormone binding globulin, and then the pharmacogenetics. So all these reasons to see, look, it's really low in her. Give her that estrogen she needs.
Amy, I've learned so much about you in this hour.
Amy's vagina. Let's talk Amy's ovaries.
Let's talk about Amy's vag. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it's wild. Like in California, you have all of these, pot dispensaries. You would think like maybe someone could open up shops for some, progesterone and estrogen.
Oh no, you don't want that. No.
Fuel centers.
Sorry, no.
No.
FDA approved drugs. Seriously. Do not get compounded drugs unless you're allergic to something and you absolutely have to. Use then a PCAB accredited pharmacy. I talk about this in the book. That's the pharmaceutical, the compounded, they credit the pharmacies, and still then I wouldn't trust them very much. The FDA, unless you're getting drugs from India, which I wouldn't do either. Catherine Eben's book, Bottle of Lies. No, the Indian generics are horrible. I would never take one. I look, and when I'm getting, progesterone, like get a generic, I look to see where it's from, and ask them. I have a specific brand I'll get, because I will not take those Indian generics, which are terrible. But you want FDA-approved oral micronized progesterone, and you want the FDA-approved estradiol, ideally in a patch. It's called transdermal. It's like a sticker you wear on your butt or your abdomen. I wear it on my butt because you get the most estrogen there, and I need like every drop that I can get. And then I have medical tape. It's so sexy. So I put on the patch, but it can fall off or something. And so the big square of medical tape, like, wow, she's so hot. Look, she's duct taped. Every porn star has a duct tape ass. No. But anyway, so that's the regulated tested drugs, and very important. The FDA is awful in a number of ways. If you look at my progesterone prescription, the insert basically says I'm going to die from taking this progesterone because It is not the information that should be with progesterone. It is the information for the cancer risk increasing medroxyprogesterone acetate that they give me for a totally different drug that is molecularly the same as the progesterone in my body. It's just in a little pill, a little capsule. Very cute.
Very cute. I think you just left us with a great image.
Oh, no, I'm breaking. It looks very dildo-like. That's
It looks after talking about the patch on your ass, you
yeah,
held up a very thick dildo-like,
I keep
container.
freezing here. I hope I get the orgasm face more often than I get just the, like, weird nose face.
Well, Amy, I thank you so much for coming on the show. Once again, the new book is Going Menopostal by Amy Alkon. I am definitely going to be sending it around to the women in my life who I love very
Well,
much.
don't you send that PDF around. I need them to buy my book
No, no,
'cause
no,
I'm,
no,
like,
no. Yeah,
starving to death. Okay.
I hear you. As somebody who's also trying to hawk books, I got a bunch right there that haven't sold yet. I'm with you
Sell them off
100%.
your shelves. And can I mention my
Yeah,
Substack, which I'm gonna have in a couple
yeah.
of weeks? Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
great.
So, I'm gonna do
Fantastic.
it'll be for men and women, and also, the usual I do behavioral science-based advice also,
Yeah.
applied science, and, the Substack, if you want to subscribe, just send me an email. It's subscribers with an S at amyalkon.net. So it's AMYALKON.net. Subscribers at amyalkon.net, and I will send you my free Substack. And very much appreciate if you buy my book also. And then review it on Amazon. I need
That's
reviews.
huge.
Everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's wonderful." Yeah, could you like even if you were like liked it, 5 stars, it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. No, it really goes a long way. Just even just a 5-star, like, I liked it. That's it. Boom.